Hello and welcome to BIRKBECK online. We are looking at the subject of renewable transport, the synthesis of renewable gases and liquids for the energy and transport sectors. This is part of the module Energy and Climate Change, and my name is Jo. So now we come to looking at carbon capture and storage, or carbon capture utilisation and storage. CCS has been practiced for a number of decades and has recently started to expand. CCS projects come and go. Technologies are still under development. Most CCS projects are associated with natural gas processing. This is because cryogenic and other chemical technologies used in natural gas processing result in pure streams of carbon dioxide. Since the early days of carbon capture, carbon dioxide has been used to drive higher production of crude petroleum oil. This is called enhanced oil recovery, or EOR. Most projections for the future of energy show CCS to have a major impact on our ability to decarbonise. We have BECCS, which is carbon capture and storage from bioenergy applications, and DACS, which is direct air capture, so capturing carbon dioxide straight from the air. The underground permanent sequestration or storage of carbon dioxide is something that can be done quite widely across the globe. It is important to notice that areas where natural gas is produced are located near to where carbon dioxide could be pumped underground. So what would a hydrogen CCS project look like? Well, this is Cadence vision for HyNet Northwest. Their aim is to produce hydrogen and use that in local grids and in industry, transport and chemicals, pull off the carbon dioxide for permanent disposal underground at sea, and create hydrogen storage to buffer the hydrogen supply. You will notice that a good deal of extra pipe work will need to be laid out, as well as a number of infrastructure items. There are a number of operational carbon capture and storage projects and a number of plans for new ones. Sask Power is using carbon dioxide to stimulate oil production. The Sleipner gas injection is removing a high level of carbon dioxide from natural gas and pumping it underground. Drax hopes to have a zero carbon cluster in the Humber region, and the Northern Lights project aims to be able to pump carbon dioxide underground from local power plants, but also shipped from further afield. When petroleum oil reservoirs lose pressure, companies regularly pump gas into the reservoir to stimulate increased oil production. This means that the carbon dioxide is used to increase emissions as a net result. The Petra Nova carbon capture and storage project did just that, and it is a failed project. It closed in February 2021. Carbon capture is feasible using a range of technologies, but the costs are still prohibitively high. Should we have carbon credits to stimulate these technologies? There are many proposals to replace natural gas in gas grid pipelines, but not everything to do with hydrogen has been fully tested or proved, and so work is ongoing in a number of areas. There are three main types of underground geological storage. The first is depleted hydrocarbon reservoirs. In other words, where there was a petroleum and gas reservoir deep underground that has been mined for the fossil fuels, will be possible to inject gas into the remaining pore space. There are aquifers, layers of water-bearing rocks, and if gas is injected into those layers deep underground, it can be dissolved and remain in situ. It will be important not to pollute potable aquifers, but instead use saline aquifers close to or under the seabed. The third kind of underground gas storage is purpose-built by solution mining salt caverns. The volume of these is much smaller than the other options, but can be tailored to its use. Salt caverns have been used for hydrogen storage for many decades, and experience and knowledge are high. However, there is a residual problem with storing hydrogen underground. Hydrogen molecules are very small, highly mobile, and hydrogen gas is very reactive. There are many microbiological feeders on hydrogen, and the knowledge about microbial activity during hydrogen storage is low. Experience in storing hydrogen in depleted gas reservoirs or in deep saline aquifers is also very low, as is knowledge about the microbiological potential. The main problems come from four key lineages of hydrogenotrophic bacteria, that is, bacteria that eat hydrogen. The methanogens eat hydrogen and carbon dioxide to make methane. The acetogens basically make vinegar from carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Hydrogen in the presence of iron will be reduced by some bacteria, and hydrogen in the presence of sulfate ions will be reduced by other bacteria into hydrogen sulfide. As there are a considerable number of unknowns about using former hydrocarbon reservoirs and aquifers for hydrogen storage, most plans for hydrogen networks include the mining of new salt caverns or the reuse of previously constructed salt caverns for the storage of hydrogen. This limits the volumes that can potentially be stored. Most hydrogen network projects therefore have a fairly small remit. By contrast to storing hydrogen underground, the storage of methane is much more well known. Nature has been storing methane underground for millions of years. For example, in hydrocarbon reservoirs, where natural gas has been mined. Although renewable hydrogen is likely to be very important in energy applications, for energy storage, we might choose methane in preference. So we might make renewable hydrogen from renewable electricity and then use captured carbon dioxide to make methane with that hydrogen and use that methane for long-term storage underground. When the methane is used, for example, for producing electricity, the carbon dioxide can be recaptured for later use. We could potentially make use of microbiological action underground by pumping hydrogen and carbon dioxide underground together and leaving the bugs to make methane for us, which we will then mine as a substitute for natural gas. This study by Adem considers the French gas supply to potentially be 100% renewable by 2050. There will be a range of resources that can be used and three main groups of technology that can be used. Anaerobic digestion, which uses microbiology to decompose residues and wastes. Pyrogasification, which uses thermal processing to synthesize gas, and a combination of electrolysis and methanation using renewable electricity to make hydrogen gas from water, and methanation using hydrogen and carbon dioxide to make methane. When making choices for fuels for transport, it is important to consider efficiency from start to end. Direct electrification of transport will be very efficient. However, the storage capabilities posed by hydrogen, power to liquid, synthetic fuels, and power to methane offer a utility that electric on its own cannot provide. The overall process efficiency of making these different alternative fuels will improve over time. Here are some projections for hydrogen, methane, ammonia, and methanol and electrofuels. Some improvements can definitely be made, but the overall process efficiency will still be far less than using electricity directly. The choice for fuels will have to be based on practical details of storage and delivery and distribution. The overall process efficiency of making these different alternative fuels will improve over time. Here are some projections for hydrogen, methane, ammonia. In some cases, technologies could improve greatly. For example, this is a slide about the novel Helmeth concept, where the production of synthetic renewable methane could become very much more efficient. And so let's get back to the problem of freight, that is, carrying goods around the world. As can be seen from this diagram from DNVGL, 2- and 3-wheelers will primarily become electric drive. Passenger cars will become overwhelmingly electric drive by 2050, but for commercial vehicles, there will still be a problem of ICE engines. This diagram from Poiri shows the contrast quite well. It shows that for light transport, such as cars and small vans, electric vehicles will come into play in a major way, whilst for heavy transport, hydrogen is likely to be one of the alternative fuels of choice. So opinions differ about what the future holds. You will see a wide range of heavy-duty transport on the roads. So here we have Waitrose who have chosen to go biomethane, and we have another couple of options here: hydrogen, DME, and fully electric. So hydrogen is likely to be a favoured fuel, but we still have the problems of hydrogen storage to deal with. So in the near term, hydrogen might be made on site to where it is being used for refuelling. This diagram about the H2BIR project shows that biomethane and renewable electricity, as well as water, are being provided to the site, and hydrogen is being made at the location. The fueling can be hydrogen fueling, electric fueling, or biomethane fueling. Here they've written CNG for compressed natural gas, but it could be compressed renewable gas, that is, compressed renewable methane. And finally, here's an example of what a green hydrogen production unit looks like. ITM Power are working to provide these to key hubs, centres where fueling takes place.